Not, there we go.
There we go. I'll call to, excuse me, I'll call to order the Oak Island Town Council special meeting on March 25th, 2019, 4 p.m. Lisa. Have a very short agenda, but thank you guys for coming out. The number one on the agenda is to call for, number two, excuse me, is to award a bid and approving of a contract for paving the streets. The proposal has been received for paving. The staff recommends awarding the bid to the lower bidder, Highland Paving. The company has done paving in the town previously, and the company will be repaving Oak Island Drive for the North Carolina Department of Transportation after the bridge project is completed. The bid is $1,069,950. The power bid funding, the power bid funding the town has been saving will cover this paving project. Correct, David?
Yes, ma'am.
We've got the money in our general fund.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any questions or discussion for David?
I have some questions, Madam Mayor, if I may. And I'll direct these to Mr. Kelly. So as this is my first time through a PAL process, looking at the actual data and for the public's information, how were the streets to be paved selected? What was the criteria?
Yes, sir. We sent out RFPs about a year ago to have a company come in and evaluate all our streets. They use a grading system from A to Z and 1 through 10. They look at the shoulders, they look at the connections, they look at the intersections, they look for cracking, any kind of previous repairs that have faulted and those kind of things, and then they rate every street in town. That book's available here at Town Hall and in Public Works for anybody to be able to review. We look at the dollars that we believe that we can spend. The company looks at it and gives us recommendations. We go out and mark everything on the ground. The bidders come in and take a look at everything that we are asking, and then that's how the price is received.
Thank you. Sounds like a very thorough procedure. Continuing with the bid, several other questions. So I noted in there was a separate number and a separate charge for, I'm quoting, milling the butt joints. Did we accept that? What exactly is milling the butt joints?
That's where the joints, excuse me, that's where the joints will be abutting each other, putting everything together. Mm-hmm. It'll basically be an on-site call at that time. Some of the streets that we are grading down to 1 inch or 2 inches. And then some of the streets that we had the sewer project on that had the dips, we're having to do some other work on those as well that's in this project for the ones that's in the patch areas. And in those areas, if they have to put those joints together like that to blend everything in instead of overlay, that's when that charge will come in.
Okay, so I'm going to understand milling butt joints to be seaming the pavement, and my next question was going to be, are we dealing with the sewer cuts? And it sounds like we are.
Yes.
So that's correct. Okay.
Anywhere there's a sewer cut in these areas, they will be repaired.
Understood.
About how many streets are we talking about? Do you have any idea?
No, the square footages, some streets have 2 or 3 spots, some streets have 1 spot. I forgot the number of streets, but it was in the proposal.
And I note that this is a large bid, because, and I take that to mean that we've been accumulating PAL funds and then going out with a larger bid to get a consolidated impact for our dollars. Is that also correct?
The town's held it usually for a 3-year period and then go out.
Okay. And lastly, the 2 different numbers in the proposal?
Dave, you got the proposal in front of you? You got the proposal in front of you? What's the question?
Numbers in the proposal.
What 2 different numbers?
So these pages aren't numbered, but under the itemized proposal, there's a figure of $1,376,400, and then in the actual bid, which is $1,069,950. So there's a $300,000 difference between the 2 numbers which appear in here. I'm just curious about that. Or
The total bid that we had from them was $1,069,950.
yeah, I see that, but there's a prior number which appears here of $1,376,400,000. It's on.
That's Barn Hills.
Yeah,
That's the other bid.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So the difference between, thank you, that's helpful. So this is the low bidder, he's $300,000 less.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Fair enough.
And
Thank you,
there
sir.
is 39 different streets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many different streets?
39.
39.
One question. This is not the same people that did the paving the last time, is it?
Highland's done work for the town several different times. I don't know if they were the very last person in here or not.
What I'm getting at is, are they the ones that put in that paved the cuts?
They are one person that we brought in to pave over some of the cuts. They're not the only contractor that we brought in to pave over cuts.
Okay.
And I'm not sure exactly which streets they did, Charlie.
But we are going to take care of the cuts this
Yes, sir.
time.
They are
Make sure
supposed to
they're-
Okay.
Anywhere there's paving, the cut's supposed to be cut out and redone.
Okay, and this is there something in the contract to the effect that there is a guarantee for a period of time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And will there be someone on staff assigned to
Yes,
liaison with the paving company?
we go out with them, the measurements they lay out on the ground, the same thing we measure, then we go back and measure the final product.
Okay, thank
You
you.
have to sign off on it, and we have to sign off on it.
Any more questions?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to award the bid for paving to Highland Paving in an amount not to exceed $1,069,950. Approve the contract subject to approval by the town attorney.
Second?
Second.
All in favor by show of hands. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next agenda item. Is the proposal received for 801 in Ocean Drive. And we're going to hopefully make a decision on this today so we can move forward with the building in one direction or the other. Proposals have been received for leasing the property at 801 Drive. One of the proposals was for $2,000 a month for the first 9 months if the business will have to pay to install a sprinkler system, or $4,000 a month if the town will install the sprinkler system at a cost of $89,000. The second proposal that we received, and we received two, was an offer of $2,250 a month for the first 9 months, and I'm not sure if that escalates. The way I read it, David, is 2%.
It does.
Somewhere in there. So basically that, you guys got the proposals over a week ago, had time to study them and think about them. The other option that the town has always explored would be to maintain control of that building and use it as several, one for a community center-like feel for the community of Oak Island, and also to use it as a revenue creator, which would be a venue for weddings or funerals or whatever. I think all of you have had time to study all three of those options, and at this point, I will turn it over to someone if they'd like to make a motion.
I have some
questions
questions,
or
Madam Mayor,
discussion?
before we, and I do think we ought to discuss both proposals before we start making motions, just as a matter of procedure. The one bid is conditioned by the sprinkler system.
Yes, sir.
So is that a code requirement?
Yes, sir.
So it's currently not to code?
Currently not, no. The use of the building do not require one at this time. To put in what they want to will require it to be sprinkled.
Okay.
So it's according to what goes in there, whether it'll have to be sprinkled or not.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me follow Councilwoman Bell's question. So are we saying that a quote-unquote nightclub venue requires a sprinkler system and a restaurant doesn't?
Yes, sir.
That's per code,
That's per Steve Edwards, yes.
okay?
Do we have any idea what type of restaurant this is gonna be?
You saw in the proposals what each one of them was going to be. One was going to be a restaurant and one was going to be an entertainment.
Private club.
Okay. What I was getting at was is this the same restaurant were we talking about the same one was there before?
No, sir. This is,
Well, my question is, I just don't want them competing with each other. I mean, are they?
no, the restaurant over at the pier would not be in direct competition with this proposal.
Okay.
John, do you have any more
Menu-wise.
discussion, or anyone else have a discussion on the subject?
Well,
Comments, please?
from get-go, I've been where I thought that we should make the most money as possible. And I still have that same mind frame, and I still want to see that the money goes straight for beach and nothing else except for maintenance of the buildings and the piers. But I haven't changed my mind on where I thought we needed to be. And I've heard from a lot of people send emails stating what they'd like to see that place be. And most of the emails that came in, they wanted an event center. And then the last thing that really pushed me over was what we got from the chamber, where the chamber said, and I quote, that destination weddings have become a very good business for our area, and it's a good opportunity to capture the wedding market and turn it into tax revenues. So I'm in favor of us operating as an event center, doing wedding venues and allowing some of our beach preservation, when they have events, to be able to use it and have it more for town functions and operate it that way. That's where I stand.
I agree, excuse me, John.
Oh, no, please.
I agree with that, Jeff, and I think the the amount of money that these other people are willing to pay is it's not enough, and I think that we could maybe give this a year, maybe 2 years, see how it goes, and we can always change back. But and I'd also like to see that if we do this, that anybody, a town resident, could be able to rent this place at a reduced cost.
I think the other ones that we checked on and we have explored and studied over the last 2 years, anticipating some action, and I personally did the one in Southport. There's a resident and property owner fee, and then there's a out-of-town fee. And I guess that would be, if the town, if you guys did decide to vote to keep it and use it as a event center for town of Oak Island, that would have to be planned out with a business plan type of situation. So
Well,
you cannot, I don't think you can just throw something out there now and do it. I think it has to be thought out on how you run it and what you
absolutely.
charge. I know that, David, you have the cost of Southport, and that's the one we're all most familiar with. I will tell you that Southport, when I worked there and ran the community building under my department, I had a waiting list 2 years out, and people planned their wedding around getting the building.
Well, I think Councilman Weinkauf raises an interesting prospect, and I'd like to come back to that in a moment. From my perspective, since you invited comments, Madam Mayor, I think both of these bids are flawed. I think they're financially not going to be sufficient for the investment that we made. We'll never recoup it using these numbers. I think on the one hand, a private club that's a nightclub part of the time is problematic. So I see a resort community that's family-centered, and the other is a restaurant with a legend, which troubles me. So I would be willing to explore the third option, assuming that we could adequately advertise it, staff it, and maintain it, which I don't think we're currently set up to do.
No, I'd like to see us go ahead and pursue. I think we had somebody in place, and we need to pursue that.
If you guys have seen, and I believe you all have this copy of the
Yes.
job description for the peer manager, it included a heavy ability to know how to market with social media and free marketing.
But I'd also like us to keep track if there's any cost and weigh that every year into the budget, see how that's reflected. And if this gets to be where it's costing the town money, then we should either sell the building or do away with it.
Finance should be able to do general ledger accounts just for that complex.
Well, I think what we need, if we decide to go that route, is a business plan that addresses advertising and staffing. And, for example, do we need 25 events? Do we need 15 weddings? What do we need to be profitable? How many people will be involved? Who manages it? Et cetera, et cetera. Who sets it up? Who breaks it down? Absent that detail, It's just a concept. It's a concept that I think is more attractive than these two bids, but it's only a concept. There's no detail with it yet.
I think we need to get some information for some of these other venue places and actually make a little trip or something and get,
Yeah, the mayor has put together a PowerPoint presentation that she just copied off, and it's got some, I asked for it because she's been working on it, but I asked for it. It's got the numbers of places in that are, and their cost, what they charge. I mean, that's a pretty good start.
Well, we just got this, so we'll have to take a look at it, to be fair.
Sure, well, that's a no-brainer as far as, we know you have to have a business plan down the road, but I think today what we have to decide whether we're gonna move forward with one of the RFPs or if the town is going either way, you need to act on it, and I think you've had more than enough time to study every direction it's come from. But very easy to get the numbers.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to direct staff to proceed with opening an event center at 801 Ocean Drive to be managed by the town.
Have a second?
Second.
I'd like to amend that motion to include a business plan with detail and projected numbers.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor. Lisa, that was seconded. Now where do we go?
Counselor Bach asked to amend the motion.
After it was second.
Right.
We're good?
Well, you need to vote, technically, you all need to vote on the motion to amend the motion. And then you can vote on the amended motion.
Second to amend the motion as Councilor
You don't have a first yet.
Hang on, I need to hear John's amending the motion again.
Sure. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I understood Councilwoman Bell's motion to be to direct staff to prepare to operate the event center. My amendment would be, and to produce a detailed business plan with staffing needs, advertising, et cetera.
I think they're gonna need to go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think
Fine.
so.
I-
Yeah,
I-
okay. You got any-
I'm from Missouri. I want to see
Yeah.
the document.
Yeah. But they need to go,
I'm good with that.
all right.
Now, a second on
I'll
John's.
well, I made the
We-
I'll
amendment.
second that motion.
All in favor on amending the motion? Well, you don't have to vote
You're,
on the first one?
you're voting on amending the motion
Okay,
at this point.
The motion with the amendment.
okay. All in
You're voting
favor?
on amending the
We've got a
motion.
second.
Thank you.
We have a second. All in favor on amending the motion?
That was all in favor.
All right, now.
Now you can vote on the amended motion.
uh,
And I'm sorry,
we've
that's what
already
my
got a
book says you
second.
have to do. I'm sorry.
We've already got a second, right?
Yes.
Now, Scotty, all in favor of the motion? All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Lisa.
I would like to thank our bidders as well. We know that you put in a lot of time and effort, and it's just, we don't see the money there, but thank you.
Absolutely.
Don't be mad at us. We may have to call you back.
All right, at this time I entertain a motion to, that's it, David? Does anyone else, you need anything else while we're in session? At this time I entertain a motion to close, this meeting.
So
Adjourn.
moved.
All in favor? Thank you.
You don't want to leave, Joe?
No, Lisa wanted me to vote against it at one time.
Thank you for coming.